Good morning. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Tumi Tladi. Let's get down to business of today. So we just completed the first session where we looked at video number 104. So let's mark this as done. And then we're gonna now do the last part, which is the voice message feature, targeting the client from the client to the customer. Yes, this one's a vice versa, from the client to the customer, where we create the recordings, the extra recording that makes up a voice message. So let's mark this as no, we shouldn't. Okay, so I have the physical device ready, and then we have a Firefox ready because we used this browser in our previous episode where we looked at generating access pin in order to get to this page, and then we're going to do the same thing. We're not going to generate, we're going to use the same access pin. Okay, so without wasting any more of the time, let's go Firefox. Yeah, it's been running in idle mode for about 40 minutes. Okay, so this is the access pin that we generated for this business for curricular papers. So I'm gonna copy, and then we're about to authenticate ourselves, launch the app, start with the splash screen, give it a couple of seconds. It's gonna check the version updates thereafter. There we go. There should not be any update. Come on. There we go. So this is the client. I'm continuing from the previous episode. Please watch video number 104 before you get to this 105. So I'm gonna type in IGHQ. It's case insensitive, and then here I'm gonna paste that access pin, and then I'm gonna click authenticate. So we are successfully authenticated, which is fantastic. Good. Now we just covered this in our previous episode on video number 104. So we are done. There isn't anything coming from the customers or the visitors to this business or the store owner, in this case Mr. Frank. There isn't anything, but Frank would like now to create a voice message for one of the customers or the visitors. So in this case, we're just going to go straight to create a voice message. There we go. So let me minimize Firefox. So we're going to talk about this page. There's a lot that went into the design of this page. It's quite fascinating. It's interesting. So you can notice the first thing that we have, this back button. If I click there, it's going to take me back, but the back button disappears on voice messages page, right? And then if I go back again to creating one, I also have access to these back buttons. So they are working nicely, but this one cannot do anything. Cool, perfect. And that's the only way for you to log out. You can't log out while you are here. Okay, cool. So Visual Studio, it's ready for us. On the share project, we don't want to touch on Android or iOS as platform specific projects now. So let's start with the models. Models, we're going to go to voice messages, focusing on the client. This time we're going to look at create voice message model. There we go. It's ready for us. And then we're going to do this. Let's go to the view on the content pages, voice messages for client. We're going to focus on this page. There we go. And then let's also look at the code behind of this page. There we go. And then we are done with the views. Let's go to view models, voice messages for client. We're going to focus on create voice messages. view model. There we go. And then finally the services. Let's go to voice messages. Focus on the client, create voice message service. There we go. Are there any validations here? Good, let's see. Do we have any validations? We do have. So let's go to validators. For voice messages, for client, you see where we create a voice message validator. There we go. Cool. Now, let me just auto hide this Solution Explorer tab. So we're gonna start with the model. Where is the model? Model. Because I built this functionality at adopting MVVMS architecture. I call it MVVMS because there is a service component. We have the models, we have the views, and then we have the view models. That's MVVM, but you also have the services. So MVVMS. So we only need the caption, we need the audio path, we need the business number, we need the customer reference number. So the caption will be, don't forget. Yes, that will be caption. The audio part is behind the scenes. It has to do with where the actual voice message is going to be stored on the server. The business number is going to be for which business is this client referring to, that don't forget to come and pick up your documents. And the customer reference number is going to be simply used to reference it to which customer do we need to do this thing, to send this thing to. Okay, that's a model. So we are done with this. Now let's go to the view model. Now the view model is a big class. The very first thing that we know is that there's a view model, like with any other view models, they all inherited from this base view model. And then with the global variables, we have 4 I validator. They're making use of fluent validation, defining a validator for a particular type. Cool, so we need them. We'll get to the validator in a second. Okay, let's go to create voice message validator. Okay, so this class, it's an interesting class. There are 4 classes. So let me do this to show you those 4 classes. There we go. So we have a class number 1, 2, 3, and 4. The very first class is a create voice message validator number 1. We have number 2, 3, and so forth. So the very first one, please watch this video extensively. I'm gonna fly. I'm not gonna spend too much time here. Please watch this video on access pin or client page, where I show extensively how these validators from Fluent Validation are helping out in Xamarin application. I don't want to make this video long. I don't want to do that. Just know that all 4 classes, they are inheriting from Abstract Validator, which is a base class for object validators. Now they're validating against this model. All of them, they're validating against this model, right? So in the constructor, it's the same pattern. Also, please watch. I have a video titled Fluent Validation as External Service. I am also showing this in Web API series. So, but in Xamarin series, I really did a lot of work here showing everything. So I'm just gonna fly here. I'm not gonna do every single thing. So just know that when it comes to customer reference, I'm validating against it to say it should not be empty, right? So what we are saying is this customer reference should not be empty. The second validator, we are validating against the same property to say it must be 5 characters, right? And then we have a custom helper method that check if the length is 5 or not. So the validator number 3, we are validating against caption to say it should not be empty. You should write something there, caption. And then we are also validating against the same caption to say it should be 5 to 20 characters. And there's a reason why it should be 5 to 20 characters, because of the design require this to be either length, it should be either 5 or greater than 5 and 20 or less than 20 characters. So we are checking. So this is the validator. Okay. So going back to the view model, so I'm using the I validator to reference, to say all 4 of them. And then I'm using audio recorder service. The audio recorder service is coming from this plugin called plugin.audio recorder. Please watch the previous video. Okay. And then the audio player also is from the same package. Cool. So we have the service and then we have the player. Cool. The recorder service, it records a player, plays recorded audio. And then the services. We're doing a lot of things, it seems. We need to go to upload audio service. So we forgot this one. Let's bring back our tab. Go to services. Go to uploads. There we go. Upload audio service. We'll come back to this. Cool. Where was I? Good. Now, these two, the very first thing I need to do, I need to upload the actual audio, right, to the server through the web API. And then we did cover this. Please watch a video titled, what is it titled? Web API series. Uploaded audios. It's video number 11 on this list, uploaded audios, where I show you the controller on the web API that's ready and waiting for the actual audio to be uploaded. So please watch that video. Okay, so let's start with upload audio service. So, okay, this class, it does one thing. It's publicly exposed asynchronously, returning a task of type string, and then this name of the method, it takes in a stream and the file path. Stream and file path. Now, for multi-part form data content, I'm gonna say this is gonna be the content that we're gonna be pushing, right? And now on that content, we're gonna add the stream content coming from that stream, and then we're gonna say this is gonna be, I believe this, isn't this the key? And yes, I believe it's a key pair value. There's a key file of type file, and this is the value, which is the file path. And then with HTTP client, again, I'm still busy with dependency injection in Xamarin.Forms. I know it's not dependency injectable, but I'm using Microsoft NuGet package to do what we all do in .NET Core web applications. So I'm still busy doing that on the main computer, okay? Because I need to get rid of how I instantiate this HTTP client. Cool. And then that HTTP client, we're gonna say you're gonna post asynchronously. It takes in the string request URI and the content. So now I am making use of string concatenation to say this is gonna be the URL, as you can see with the address of the server, and this is going to be the actual route, right? As you can see, post one audio mobile. We did cover this when I did a series on web API, and then it's going to pass in the content. Okay, and then whatever response message, HTTP response message we have, we're going to extract it out of the content. We're going to read as a string asynchronously. So it serializes the HTTP content to a string as asynchronous operation. Okay, we're gonna get it here. Now the response, What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna replace this guy with nothing, and this will be the audio path, file path that we return. So let me give you a sneak peek on .NET Core Web API. So let's go to controllers, any of them, but let me go with the most recent one. No, it's not there. V1 media, upload audio, not you, uploaded audios controller. So when it's successful, it's gonna return this line number 62. So what I'm doing with the service, I'm saying, listen, with the service, now the audio file path, I want you to replace this guy with nothing, because it needs to return this, right? Cool. But that's a backslash, it's not a forward slash. So why exactly are we replacing that? That's a very good question. Why are we replacing that? Because here we have only forward slashes. Unless the custom file name has some weird stuff, but we'll try to come back to it. Okay, so this is the guy, and then the create, where we actually create the object, because it needs to be in a database, and I'll show this using Firefox portal logged in with administrator, how this looks like. Okay, so it's going to be publicly exposed method asynchronously returning a task of type bool. That's the name of the method. It takes in this create voice message model, and then we looked at the model, right? It has only 4 properties, and then HTTP client, and then we're gonna use JSON converter to serialize the object into JSON, and then we're gonna use the string content to turn to HTTP content, and then those content we're gonna add the headers of type content type to be application JSON, and then client posting using the request URI and the content, the same process, but this time we are using a different route. As you can see, post one voice message client from mobile, and then the response, we're gonna check, was it status is a success status code, which is 200. If it is, we're gonna return true. If not, false. Cool. So that's a service. And then back to the view model. Then we have a property customer reference. So this will hold the value from customer reference. And then, because obviously I have to validate the customer reference, I'm going to use a validate customer reference to decide whether it's visible or not. And then the actual message for validating the customer reference. Okay. And then caption, the actual caption, there's a caption, and then we're gonna check if the validation error message should be visible or not, and then the validation message itself. And then record is enabled. Now record is enabled. If you look at, you see this record, it's a button. So let me just scroll. Now this guy, currently it is enabled. But if you look at this guy, it says record is enabled, it's false by default. I don't know why it's false. So let me move this guy here. Okay. And then we have, let me scroll down. So this becomes much easier. So we have record if it's enabled or not. By default, it should not be enabled. We have a stop button if it should be enabled or not. Yes, it's not enabled. That's correct. And then we have a play button if it's enabled or not, and then it's not enabled, which is good. And then we have this send voice message if it should be enabled or not, and it's not enabled. Okay, even if I click here, nothing happens. And then we have the commands. We have the play command reacting and responding to this button. We have the record command reacting and responding to this button, we have a stop command reacting and responding to this button, and we have send voice message command. So this one, it calls in the play method. As you can see, it's not asynchronous. And this one, the record, it calls the record method asynchronously. The stop, it's calling the stop method asynchronously. Now the question is, why is this one not asynchronous? And then the send voice message command, it's calling send voice message method asynchronously. And then we have the constructor. Now the constructor calls the first method, which is absent analytics. We know this method, what it does, just to use the device name to say it launch create a voice message page on this date at this time. And then we are clearing validations 1 and 2. Now to clear validations 1 and 2, as we can see, the validate customer reference, if it's visible, should be false and there should not be content. Then number 2, for caption, it should not be visible, and then the message itself should be empty. Okay. And then on the constructor, then we are initializing those validator to say you're gonna go and look for create voice message validator 1, 2, 3, all the way to number 4, respectively. And then the audio service recorder, we're gonna instantiate that to say we're gonna set certain things up. So stop recording on silent should be true. It knows how to detect silence while you are recording. It's going to stop automatically. Stop recording after timeout, yes. And I will talk about the timeout in a second. And then total audio timeout, there we go. It's 2 minutes, 120 seconds. And then audio silence timeout, only 10 seconds. If it indicates that there hasn't been any, voice or audio, whatever it is, movement for the past 10 seconds, it should stop. Okay. And then for the audio player, we're gonna instantiate this object or initialize this object. And then we're gonna now, this event handler finished playing. We're gonna subscribe to audio player finished playing. Let's take a look at this one quickly before we come back. But before we do that, because it's really important that we do this, remember that record button. The record button, this is where the constructor, it says it should be true, and it is true. Stop and play should be false. Stop and play, the state for whether it's enabled or not is false. And also the send voice message button, it should be false, as you can see. Now going back to this event handler method that subscribes to the event handler, what it does is when you finish playing, the recording is going to be true, and the stop is still going to remain false. The play is going to be true because we finished playing it. So the record becomes true. You can record again, or you can play what you just recorded or what you just played, and then the button, if you are ready to send, you can send to the server. So we're done with that one. So we're done with the constructor. I'm trying to move fast. Now let me start with the play. The play, it has a try and catch block. It's very important according to the documentation. If there's any exception, let's use a vibration API from Xamarin Essentials to cause the physical device to vibrate. Let's use Crashes API from App Center to track the record, and let's use user dialogues API to show a message box to say, listen, it failed to play the recording at this time, please try again. Player failed. But now, out of that audio recorder service, we're gonna get the audio file path, right? It's gonna be here. Now, if that string file name or file path is not null, play is gonna be set to false, record false, stop false, send false. When we play, as soon as we click play, when we click this, all of them are going to be false, all 4 buttons. And then that's when we get to actually play. Okay, we're done with this one. The record, the main one, Okay, let me do stop first. It's straightforward. Now the stop also try and catch block. Everything's the same. Fail to stop the recording at this time. It's very important that we do this. And then when we click, while it's still playing, when we click, because when you click this one, it's gonna show you stop. So when we click stop in the try, using the recorder service, we're gonna stop recording. The play is gonna be enabled, record is gonna be enabled. So these two is gonna be enabled, but the stop is gonna be disabled, and then the send is gonna be disabled. Makes sense. Now for the main one, which is record, again try and catch block. If there's any issue, we do the most basic stuff. Cool. But inside the try, if the recorder service is, if it's not recording, play should be false, record should be false. And what it does, audio record task, as you can see this guy, right? Now it's gonna start recording and it's gonna return a task of type string. And then we're gonna say the stop, as soon as I click this guy, this becomes disabled, therefore stop disabled. That's what we see. And then the audio, and then await's gonna, it needs to await, you know, so it allows it to finish the whole process of recording. If it's not recording, or doesn't allow them to finish, but it allows it to record, if you will, yes. And then play is going to be enabled, and oh, it's recording. If it's not recording, yes, if it's not recording, wait, it's recording, but if it's not recording, this is what's going to happen. Oh, start recording, yes. Or if it's not already recording, it's going to record, allow the process, and then have the play to be true, record true, stop false, send false. Else, it is recording. Play false, record false, send false, and then it should stop recording. And then play true, record true, stop. I had to do this multiple times. You see, it sounds like it's crazy and chaotic. I had to do this several times. Okay, finally now for the send voice message. I'm not gonna do the validations. I think we understand the validations. Let me just walk through validation number one. It's the same thing. If you understand the first validation, you understand the rest. So all of them are gonna return a Boolean, right? So you wanna see all validations cleared. So by default it's false, and then we are returning that. So I'm gonna build up with the model, and then for the customer, you see we're taking the customer reference number. So whatever gets to be typed, we're gonna check against it, whatever was typed here, okay? And then we're gonna validate that using targeting that against that model. And then if the result says it's valid, clear validations 1, and then all validations were cleared, which is true. Else, give us the error message, put it here. If the error message is the same as, I'll show the error message for voice message in a second. So this is number 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now let me go back. Okay, we're done with this. Let me go back to utilities, global variables, to show those error messages, because I'm about to do a demo on it. Voice. There we go. So you're gonna see stuff like loading. Please wait while we upload your voice message. Please wait while we play the voice message. And then these are the validation errors. The customer reference is required, should not be empty. The customer reference should be 5 characters. The caption is required. The caption should be 5 to 20 characters. There we go. I hope that makes sense. Perfect. So these are the validations. Like I said, I did extensive walkthrough on access pin page. please take a look at that video, this one. Then obviously we're going to show the bit indicator when we click send voice message with appropriate color and appropriate message, and we're going to do try. If validation 1 is cleared, we're going to check number 2. If validation 2 is cleared, we're going to check number 3. If validations number 3 are cleared, we're going to check number 4. If all the validations are cleared, and then what we're going to do, we're going to use that audio recorder service to get audio file stream. As you can see, it's of type stream, put it there, and then we're going to get audio file path, put it there, and then we're going to use the upload audio service we're going to post. Remember, it takes in two things, which is a stream. Wait, it takes in a stream and the file path, right? So that's what we are passing, and then we're going to get back what a stream, which is the audio path. Now, if audio path contains OK, now this is critical. It contains OK. Remember, this controller, I said, is going to return the status code OK. It's going to contain OK. I'm handling the rest of say 501, 404, 500, but if it contains OK, I'm using contains method. Okay, if not, what? Let's see the else part. The else is going to vibrate. It's going to say uploading the voice message failed at this time, please try again later. We have to handle these use case scenarios. Let's go back to true, to if statement. Okay, and then var file name. Now the audio path, the one that was returned using the substring, the last index of, it's gonna get the last index of, it's gonna be the file name. And then the new file name, I'm gonna replace this guy with that one. And then I'm gonna build now the appropriate model to say this is gonna be the file name for the audio path, new file name, and then this is gonna be the caption, obviously, that was typed in, and then the reference number. Now for the business number, obviously we save that when we authenticated ourselves from the access pin page. And then I'm gonna use it, create a voice message, and then to post one voice message asynchronously, and it's gonna return if it was success or not. And then if it wasn't success, which is the else part, it's gonna vibrate. It's gonna say sending the voice message failed at this time, please check if the customer reference is correct. There we go. Because the only time that is gonna be false, I'm suspecting that the customer reference number is not correct. And then, but if it was success, it's gonna show this message to say a new voice message has been created and sent to the customer, and then it's gonna push to voice message page. So this is the view model in a nutshell. It's a hectic thing. Almost done. Now for the code behind, we just initializing the component of the page for the controls on the page. We have access to view model, pancake. Remember again, pancake, I did show this in our previous episode. So this is the pancake. And then we have text input layout. We need that as we start to type in. As you can see what it does. It does some nice animations. You know, that's the text input layout. And then show bits indicator, show connectivity, and then the background color, the title, which is identical docs. And then binding the context to that view model, and then using the content on the content itself, which is this entire body here. We now gonna have absolute layout, stack layout, and then the pancake view is gonna be the first thing that we do. I want to do something, so I see it's impossible for me to do it. Visual Studio. Oh no. So pancake view is what we see here. It's a nice thing. It's a nice control. It's a nice, powerful control. And then we have the scroll view. As you can see that I'm able to scroll. So just underneath the pancake view, you can see I can scroll vertically, as you can see with the scroll view. Okay, and then I have another pancake view. So this pancake view allows me to use this rounded border, nicely done. nicely done. It's beautiful. If I increase the brightness, plug in the charger before it complains. There we go. So this guy, those nice corners. This is a beautiful app. For me, it's a beautiful app. So yes, I made use of another pancake view, as you can see inside the stack layout. So this pancake view, it does have, let's move this guy here. It does have the label. So the label, I'm just using this font awesome icon. Please watch this episode where I covered font awesome icons, number 16. It's very interesting. That's the label and the styling, like the position, the size, the color, and everything. And then the stick layout, I have a text input layout for customer reference, which is the hint customer reference. And then the helper text, please enter the customer reference. That's what we see here. And then inside we have the entry that's binding to customer reference, and then so forth. So that is for customer reference, and this will be for the caption. And finally, this pancake view now deals with this controls in here. So obviously we have the icon. There's the icon there. And then we have the label that says recording is only for 120 seconds or 2 minutes. That's what we see here. And then we have a stick layout horizontally to have 3 buttons for play, for record, finally for stop. And lastly, we have that bottom button for sending the actual voice message. There we go. So unfortunately, I won't be able to demonstrate this live because I would have to record. But what I can do, I believe we are done. I can close Visual Studio. So on the next episode, I'll show the next episode. So let me just do this. Give it a couple of seconds. Come on, Visual Studio. Come on. There we go. So let me do this. So remember, this is Frank, test 1 account. So Frank owns 11 businesses. Let's confirm by going to businesses. Come on, Firefox. There we go. All businesses, there are 11 in total. And then he went ahead to generate access pin. Is there any documents for Frank? There are no documents because they are only lasting 7 days. Okay. But in order for me to simulate, I guess I will have to do a live thing, right? No, because I want to be a customer to upload at least a document so that we can have a customer reference number. But we don't have to do that. Yeah, no, let's do that. It's fine. So let me go back and log out. Yes. Now I'm a customer. So this is what we're going to be doing next. This is what we're going to be doing next. Now, you know what? Let's deny that. Deny. Yes, we're going to be doing this permissions because I'm doing something very interesting here. So I want us to do permissions. What happens when that's going to be the next thing. But I don't want to get in. I want to do step by step. I don't want to skip certain things like you saw. You see, it's writing some stuff. It's doing some stuff. And then it's going to crash the app. Or it's going to, should I say, kill the app? Or should I say terminate? Yes. Not crash, not kill, but terminate the app based on, you know what, you didn't. So, yeah. So, now, unfortunately, I cannot skip certain processes. I want to do them like one step at a time, the right way. So let's go back, and I believe we still have copied that. Yes, IGHQ, and let's click authenticate. I just want to simulate something. So if I start to type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but if I type the 6th character, it's reacting. It's reacting. Okay. But let's remove that. Obviously, this won't be enabled because now I'll have to type in something here, and then caption. Let me do this. If I type in anything that's more than, there we go. It's complaining because I told it that it should only be 20 characters, and these are 25 over 20. So it's reacting also, which is quite interesting. But if I do, there we go. And then I can just record. So unfortunately, I won't be able to record because I'm still recording right now. But yeah, this is it. Back, log out. Yes. Now, let me log out and log in as administrator. I believe I said I want to show certain things. So as the administrator, new admin, my super secret password. Now I'm gonna go to tasks. Now I am administrator, so yes, let me open upload in a new tab, and let me open voice messages to show you something. So these are all the uploads on my system. Even though they did not show for test 1 account, there are 147 in total. So there is something which is the customer just needed this customer reference number, and yeah, and that's it, and write a caption. So these are the actual voice messages. Recently, 2021, on the 3rd, I did this. Yes, I can record now when I was recording a video on voice messages. So if you want to see how it actually worked, I was recording this episode on voice messages number 10. So then I did this. I was recording the screen, but then I stopped the recording of the audio. Aren't you supposed to be okay? So this I can record now. So we did this. It was quite interesting and then fun. So with that being said, thank you very much. It's a very hectic, interesting system. I hope you found this informative. If you did, give it a thumbs up, like the video, share it on your socials, and then tell your fellow developers that there's something that's very, very good here. So now you know what we're going to be doing next up, which is going to be permissions. So after this, as a customer, and if you don't grant permissions, what happens? And what did I do to handle the permissions? Because it's a big topic, that one. With that being said, thank you very much. Until next time. Subscribe.